Hopefully you've been checking out my content for a few months now. Have you ever asked yourself, what would Rob be like if he had superpowers? Well, it'll be easy for you to find out. Just check out this week's movie, Brightburn. So when I first saw the ads come out for Brightburn, I don't know that I have been excited for a movie that much in a very long time. Now, of course, Brightburn has been in and out of theaters a long time ago. It was an early summer movie. But as I've told you, I'm kind of going back through the movies I really enjoyed this summer. Stuff that's going to be available for streaming in the fall, maybe into the winter and early next year. I cannot tell you enough how much you should check out this movie. But let's not spoil this review. So let's talk about Brightburn in its entirety. First, let's get through the pleasantry. Brightburn was directed by David Yarovesky, and it was written by Brian Gunn and Mark Gunn. Now, I don't know what else the Gunn brothers there have worked on, but I can say that I really should get a list of those things and watch them, because if they wrote this script, I know I am going to love whatever else it is that they worked on, unlike some other brother pairs who have done some movies that I haven't been so fond of. It's another great movie with an all-star cast. Elizabeth Banks and David Denman play the mother and father, Tori and Kyle Breyer. Jackson A. Dunn plays our hero, Brandon Breyer. And they're joined by a relatively unknown cast, other than Matt Jones, who plays the uncle, Noah McNichol. Now, as I said, I was so excited when I saw the first ads for Brightburn. You know, I keep saying that there are movies that I saw and I said, hey, I bet I could have written that, how they get that made. I see movies and I say, oh, I definitely did write that. And there's movies that I look at and I say, I could never write that. This is one of those that I said to myself, I could have written this. I missed an opportunity here. Why did I not have that idea? And of course, that idea is, what if Superman came to Earth, but he wasn't just naturally good? Now I'm going to take a quick sidebar because I want to venture off into kind of a related topic. There's something I've done a little bit of research on. It's called the Gnostic Gospels. And basically it's stories and Bible books. It's stories and books from the Bible that didn't end up in the Bible. Now I'm not going to get into the whole history of the whole thing, but in the end, it basically is a lot of books that show Jesus to be a lot more human than he was in the books that are the Bible now. And not so pure, not so innocent, just kind of a normal guy. And that's one of the things I love about the Gnostic Gospels. And, I've read as much as I can about them, and I'm even kicking around a screenplay about the Gnostic Gospels. And I'm kind of in that moment right now where I feel like the Gnostic Gospels and their portrayal of Jesus is kind of the same as Brightburn and its portrayal of Superman. Now, Brightburn is about a young teenage kid who figures out that he's basically coming into the powers of Superman. I don't think that's a spoiler if you saw any of the trailers. You saw a kid floating, all right? If you had any questions, yes, he's Superman. He's not magic. So, it always has begged the question, why does Superman know that he's good, and why does he continue this path of goodness when I know that when I was a kid, especially around that age, I was a huge and if I found out that I could fly or run real fast or hit people really hard, I probably would have been an even bigger one. But maybe that's that Superman is the best of all of us, right? Like, that's kind of the story. He's the best human because he's not human. Brightburn goes the other direction. It says that what if Superman was more like all of us? Bullies really got to him, and when he found out that he had these powers, he used them against his bullies. And what would a normal 12 or 13-year-old do with that kind of power? Well, Brightburn tells us what they would do with that kind of power. And, I keep repeating it, but these reviews are not about Oscar-winning movies. They're not about, all that pretentious stuff that you might get everywhere else. This is about whether you enjoyed the movie or not. You are not going to see Brightburn on a list of, any of the top movies of the year. It's not one of the top movies of the year. It has a $6 million budget. It made $32 million. That's a successful movie in this industry. Making back your money is step one. Making 4 times, 5 times, 6 times your money, that is a victory. And Brightburn succeeded. It did exactly what it set out to do. It pushed boundaries in ways that I don't think they've been pushed before. I really hope this is opening up kind of a new genre where the line between hero and villain is a little more blurry. It's not all just Marvel, and Marvel is really straightforward. Heroes are heroes, villains are villains. DC has kind of taken the different tact where heroes and villains are kind of more closely related. Batman is always dark, and he's always kind of he's a good guy, but he's always kind of bad. Punisher is a DC hero or an anti-hero, I suppose, where he would be bad by most stretches of the imagination, but because we know him and we know what he does and the reasons for it, he's good. Brightburn, I think, is in the same school as Venom. Now, if you saw the Venom movie, it's probably a little far back for me to go and do a review for, but I saw it, I really enjoyed it. One, I love Tom Hardy, and I'll watch anything that Tom Hardy is. But also, I mean, it's a good anti-hero movie. It's about somebody who looks bad on the outside, but once you know the reasons for what they're doing, you realize that maybe they're kind of good. Maybe they are a good guy, after all. Brightburn, however, is not that story. It is not an anti-hero. I think that this is a story of a kid who might be a hero someday coming into his powers and learning who he is. I do want to get into some specifics from the movie, so let's take the opportunity right now to say that if you don't want to hear any spoilers from a movie that came out in May or June, but if you don't want to hear spoilers, go ahead and skip down to the next time below, and you'll avoid all of them because the spoilers are coming at you right now. So I'll be honest and say, when I first saw the trailers, I got super excited about it because I thought it was going to be this one thing. Then I walked into the theater and I saw it, and the very beginning of the movie had me worried because it seemed like it was going to be far more Superman than what I was expecting it to be. I saw Elizabeth Banks trying really hard to be like mom and like get the right message and do the right thing for her kid, and I was like, oh god, is this going to turn into like a, he does some bad things but he comes around in the end? Lucky for me, that ain't this movie. I mean, the writers, the Gunn brothers, did fantastic job setting us up to say like, okay, average kid, something's wrong with him, he's hearing something, this is going to take a turn, and we're just waiting for the other shoe to drop. And maybe that shoe dropped when he liquefied the sheriff on his front porch, which, oh my god, that was amazing. And I'll say, like, the last third of the movie, just with him kind of like terrorizing the family and terrorizing the town, and just all of these events start happening, especially in kind of like the afterwards, after it wraps, and we see that like he's sitting there by the airplane eating an ice cream, and somebody comes over and they're like, oh, the only survivor of this plane crash, and you see his symbol just written everywhere on everything. Yeah, that was the payoff moment. That was when we realized like this kid is messed up and he's not going to get better. Oh god, it was fantastic. I will say that the voice calling to him from the ship, and that basically, I feel like there was an underlying sentiment that, oh, he's a good kid, but this voice or whatever experience by touching the ship, it turned him evil. And I think that sets the standard that like the society he came from was evil. Maybe that's a thing. And that experience turned him back to who he was, and that Earth, had made him good. And I don't know that I really agree with that part of it. I mean, I think they could have skipped all that and just basically had the interesting story of a teenage kid who's kind of a bad kid and he wants to rebel against his parents, and the one place he's not allowed to go is this little basement in the barn. And when mom and dad just get on his nerves after a while and he starts realizing that like he's different than everyone else, he says, I'm gonna go check out this place that I'm not supposed to go. Maybe they ground him or something and it's chained up, and he grabs onto it and then just rips it off. And that's how he learns about super strength, but it's also when he finds the ship and he realizes that he's not human. I will say though, aside from those very few negative comments that I had, otherwise, I thought the entire movie was amazing. It delivered exactly what I expected. Him breaking holes in the house, and he loves his mother clearly, but he terrorizes her a little bit, and he kind of learns to hate his dad, and he punishes him, and no one can control him. And realistically, nobody would be able to. That all checks out. That all makes sense, right? That is exactly what we thought it would be. So, yeah, it's firing on all cylinders for the last 2/3 of the movie, and it really delivers on everything. Just, man, I'm thinking back. It's been a long time since I've seen it, and I really want to watch it again now that I'm kind of sitting down to do this review, and I remember how much I love it. But there's so many good things, right? So many those moments that you can see influence of Superman, the influence of all the other superheroes, a realistic take on it, and that's what I really love about this. But I think that's enough for the spoilers. Let's go ahead and bring everyone back in and wrap this whole thing up, shall we? So spoilers are done, and everyone's joining us right now. So when it comes down to it, I think that this is one of the best films of the year. It's not fantastic when it comes to the acting. I mean, it's not like, top tier when it comes to the acting or the shots or anything spectacular. $6 million budget's not a huge budget. It's certainly not a Marvel movie. It's not even one of the best superhero movies of the year, but it's an interesting take on something that we thought we knew. It's something different and new, and that's really what I love. And more importantly, I couldn't tell you what the runtime is. I assume that it's somewhere around 1 hour 50, and it felt like it flew by. I didn't even notice the time at all. It's fun at the movies. And everyone who I went to see it with came out of it saying something different. Some people loved it. Some people hated it. Some people were like, oh, I feel weird about that. Like the superhero would be evil. That's exactly what they want you to feel. But I loved it. And the people who hated it because they were expecting a superhero movie and they didn't get it. Based on the reactions I saw, I think that everyone who went, whether they said they hated it, which I don't think is exactly true, they just didn't get what they expected, or those who loved it, who really, really loved it, like me. I can say that it's safe to say that this is a must-see, no matter who you are. Take the time, go watch Brightburn. Now, unfortunately, because it's a Sony film, it's not going to be available widely right now, probably until next year. It's available on Stars, and you can rent it on Amazon, you can rent it on Apple TV, and a couple other places, Fandango now. But hopefully, the beginning of next year, it'll be available everywhere. I think it's for rent on Amazon for like $4. Get a couple of people together and watch it together. It's worth the $4 rental. You're not going to be disappointed. A new take on something you thought you knew. This movie finds ways to surprise you, and that's all we really can ask from any movie, right? So go, take the time to check it out. Well, there you have it. Yet another episode of the Everyman Movie Reviews in the books. At the top here, I want to thank my patrons. I would not be able to do this without you guys. I just went over to B&H and I got some brand new equipment, and that is all thanks to the support that I get from you. So thank you guys so very much. I can't say it enough. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And hey, do you want to be one of my patrons? Do you want to support all of the new projects that I have going on? It is super easy. Go on over to patreon.com. That's patreon.com/Robert N. Cheek. You can donate at any level, even as little as $1 a month. That gets you access, and you'll be able to catch up to everything that I am working on. They get early access to all the videos. They get access to the books. They get thank yous in the books, thank yous in the videos. Everything that I produce, I make sure and get it to them early, and I make sure to thank them during the process. So go on over to patreon.com, patreon.com/Robert N. Cheek, and become one of my supporters. Let me know that you have a vested interest in the things that I'm working on. And of course, you can find me for free on all your social networks at Robert N. Cheek. That's going to be on Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter, Snapchat, over on TikTok, where I got some new videos coming. My new favorite thing is to make memes with my nephew. You are not going to want to miss that. So at Robert N. Cheek on all your social networks. And of course, make sure you're checking out robertncheek.com. That's where you're always going to find the latest updates to what's going on, what projects I'm working on, and what I have cooking that maybe nobody else knows about. You can sign up for the email list there, and of course, directions to Patreon, directions to Oh the Anthem, directions to everything that I have going on. That'll all be located right there. Finally, you're probably watching this video on YouTube at youtube.com/Rob Cheek, but don't forget it's also available in podcast form over at anchor.fm/Everyman Movie Reviews. Now, at that link, you'll be able to find any of your sources of podcasts, where it's on Apple or Google or Pocket Cast or Dogcatcher, Stitcher, everywhere. Just go to anchor.fm/Everyman Movie Reviews and you'll be able to find your link so you can have it on your podcatcher of choice. And of course, the shows are very similar, but there are a few very key differences. So if you do want to check out the podcast, make sure you go to anchor.fm/Everyman Movie Reviews. You can throw another slash in front, put message. It'll let you leave a voicemail for me, and with your permission, I'll actually use those on the show. You'll also hear some promos that they don't hear here on YouTube, but people on YouTube, you guys will get some stuff that they don't get on Anchor. So maybe check out both, huh? How about that? But however you consume your content, I've got it for you. Podcast, video, you'll be able to find it. So thank you guys once again for joining me. Look for the next episode coming very soon. New episodes every Thursday, on the dot, no matter what. And another episode sometime in the week in between. Of course, I'm also working on the next episode of Rob Explains Everything. I'm thinking the Mandela Effect. So if you don't know what that is, make sure you go over to YouTube and subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you know when I update with my latest episode. A lot of stuff going on for me, a lot of stuff going on for you. So I appreciate you taking the time to check out this episode of the Everyman Movie Reviews. So until next time, thank you guys for joining me, and have a great week, everybody.